The reason God trusts Capricorn with the hard stuff. When God needs something done, something sacred, something heavy, something eternal, he doesn't call the loud. He calls the Capricorn. Not because Capricorn asks for it, but because they can take it. Capricorn isn't the sign that demands miracles. They become the miracle, one slow, steady, unstoppable step at a time. You see, God doesn't favor those who live easy. He favors those who carry hard things with grace. And no one carries more or more quietly than Capricorn. Where others break down, Capricorn builds up. Where others collapse in chaos, Capricorn finds the blueprint. While the world craves escape, Capricorn commits. And that's why God loves them. Not for their charm, not for their luck, but for the silent contracts they sign with life, every day, without complaint. Think about it. How many times has a Capricorn in your life picked up the slack when no one noticed? How often do they push forward without asking for applause? Capricorns aren't born with softness. They are tempered like steel, shaped by delay, pressure, and pain. But beneath that armor is something so rare. Not just strength. Sacred reliability. In a world of noise, Capricorn is the cathedral still standing after the storm. So today, we begin a journey. Not through surface-level traits or horoscope clichés, but through 20 divine reasons why Capricorn is one of God's most trusted designs. If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever carried too much without praise, if you've ever been told you're too serious, too quiet, too strong, this is your confirmation. You weren't made to be seen. You were made to hold what others can't. And God saw that and said, "Yes, that one." Welcome to the truth about Capricorn. Let's begin. Reason 1. God loves Capricorn because their work is a prayer. Where others work for reward, Capricorn works for something far more sacred, alignment. Most people wake up chasing results, money, approval, promotion, applause. But a Capricorn, they rise early, move in silence, and build, not just for themselves, but for a calling they rarely speak of. Not because they seek recognition, but because something higher is watching. To a Capricorn, work is not a task. It is ritual. A rhythm of devotion. A way to bring order where there was none. A form of worship that doesn't need stained glass or sermons, only structure, commitment, and integrity. I once met a Capricorn woman who spent years building a community center in one of the poorest towns in her state. When asked how she stayed so focused without funding, praise, or recognition, she said, "I don't do this because it's easy. I do it because it's right." That's the essence of Capricorn. They understand that heaven isn't built with words. It's built with quiet persistence, sweat, and the unseen grace of showing up every day, even when no one claps. God doesn't just love people who talk about faith. He loves people who live it through action, even in the smallest moments. And Capricorn, they turn consistency into consecration. Every plan, every project, every task is a spiritual blueprint, drawn by discipline and signed with sacrifice. So I ask you this. Have you ever considered that your daily effort, your work, your labor, your focus might be the most honest prayer you ever offer? God sees Capricorn, not for what they finish, but for how faithfully they begin again, and again, and again. Reason 2. God loves Capricorn because they carry responsibility like a sacred oath. Capricorn doesn't avoid the weight. They absorb it and they carry it like it came from God Himself. Responsibility crushes most people. It drains them. It makes them hide, panic, shut down. But Capricorn, they carry what others fear to touch. And not just their own burdens, but the silent, invisible weight of others, family, community, legacy. Why? Because to Capricorn, responsibility is not punishment. It's proof of trust. A sacred contract between their soul and the divine. A sign that they were chosen to uphold what must not fall. There's something holy in how they do it. No complaining. No grand declarations. Just quiet commitment and terrifying consistency. I remember a Capricorn father who raised 3 kids alone after his wife passed. He never missed a school recital. He worked 2 jobs and still showed up for parent-teacher conferences. When asked how he managed it all, he simply said, "My kids didn't ask for this life. I did. So I carry it, all of it." And God sees that. In a world full of people looking to shift blame, Capricorn stands still and takes accountability like armor. They understand that true strength is not about control, it's about ownership. That's why God loves them. Because when things fall apart, Capricorn doesn't point fingers. They start picking up the pieces, one by one, until something whole stands again. And maybe that's the divine message Capricorn teaches us all. That when you take responsibility not just for what's yours, but for what's sacred, you become a reflection of God's reliability. Reason 3. God loves Capricorn because their loyalty is unbreakable even in silence. A Capricorn won't always say "I love you," but when the storm comes, they're still there. In a world full of fleeting friendships, conditional love, and temporary alliances, Capricorn stands as a sacred contradiction. They don't give their heart easily. They don't trust quickly. But when they do, they bind. Loyalty for Capricorn is not about words. It's about presence. It's about staying when it would be easier to leave. Showing up when others disappear. Answering the call not because it's convenient, but because they said they would. I once knew a Capricorn nurse who spent 5 years caring for her elderly neighbor, someone she wasn't even related to. She made meals, picked up medicine, and held her hand during chemo. When asked why, she said, "She was kind to me once. That's all it took." Capricorn doesn't forget kindness. They don't abandon people who mattered even if those people forget them. Their loyalty is bone deep, not based on mood or moment, but on principle. And God sees that. Because loyalty, real loyalty, mirrors divine love. It is unconditional. It is steadfast. It doesn't flinch in hardship. Capricorn may not say much. They may not gush over you. But if they're in your life, you better believe they're watching your back when it counts. So ask yourself this. Who are you still standing by even when it's quiet? And who has stood by you, in the dark, when no one was looking? Capricorn teaches us that loyalty is not about being loud. It's about being there when it matters most. Reason 4. God loves Capricorn because they possess wisdom beyond their years. Capricorns aren't just born old souls, they carry the kind of knowing that can't be taught, only lived. Before most people even realize life is a test, Capricorn has already studied the blueprint. They notice what others overlook. They prepare for what others ignore. They plan for a future that most people haven't even thought about yet. Where does that come from? It's not just intelligence. It's not just experience. It's wisdom, the kind that seems written into their bones by time itself. Capricorn children are often the ones comforting adults. They ask questions about life, death, purpose, not out of fear, but out of calm understanding. I remember a Capricorn teenager who worked part-time to help his single mom while tutoring classmates after school. He once said, "I don't have time to be reckless. I'm trying to build something that lasts." That's the soul of Capricorn. They don't chase the temporary. They build for permanence. Their wisdom is practical, but not shallow. It's rooted in patterns, in long-term thinking, in the patience to watch cause and effect play out. And God treasures that. Because wisdom is one of the rarest divine qualities, not flashy, not loud, but quiet and prophetic. Capricorn doesn't need to be the loudest voice in the room. They are the ones others turn to when the noise fails, when truth is needed. They speak rarely, but when they do, the room listens. Ask yourself, have you ever been the one who knew before others saw? The one who felt older than your age, who carried truth you couldn't explain? Capricorn reminds us, wisdom isn't about how much you say, it's about how deeply you see. Reason 5. God loves Capricorn because they rise when others fall apart. When the ground cracks beneath everyone else, Capricorn quietly lays the foundation for something stronger. Crisis reveals character. And when chaos hits, most people scramble, panic, or shut down. But Capricorn gets calm. They don't scream. They stabilize. While others run for shelter, Capricorn starts building it. There's something divine about that, a kind of spiritual first responder energy. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that says, "I've got it. You're safe. We're not going to fall apart." It's not because they feel nothing. It's because they've trained themselves through experience, suffering, failure to endure. And more than endure, to lead in the middle of the storm. I knew a Capricorn woman who lost her job, ended a relationship, and faced a medical diagnosis all in 1 year. She didn't collapse. She sold her car, started walking to work at a diner, and went back to school at night. Not to prove anything, but because she believed, if I keep moving, the storm has to pass. And it did. That's what makes Capricorn holy in God's eyes. Not that they are immune to pain, but that they treat pain like a teacher, not a death sentence. They rebuild not just for themselves, but for others. They become anchors in drifting seas, walls in collapsing homes, light in dark hallways. Ask yourself this. Have you ever had to stay strong, not because you felt strong, but because someone else needed you to be? Capricorn shows us that strength isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to keep walking through it with your head high, your hands steady, and your soul rooted in something deeper than circumstance. Reason 6. God loves Capricorn because their patience is a form of faith. Capricorn doesn't rush greatness because they know what is meant for them will arrive when the time is holy. We live in a world of instant everything, quick results, quick fame, quick love. But Capricorn is the keeper of divine timing. They don't chase. They cultivate. They don't demand. They develop. Where others grow restless, Capricorn grows roots. Because deep down, they know, anything rushed is rarely real, and anything real is worth the wait. Their patience is not laziness. It's not fear. It's faith in process. Faith in divine rhythm. Faith in the slow, invisible hands of destiny shaping what cannot be forced. I once met a Capricorn artist who worked on the same painting for 7 years. He repainted the background more than 10 times. When asked why, he smiled and said, "It's not done speaking to me yet." That's what patience looks like when it's sacred. It's not passive. It's co-creating with the divine, step by step, layer by layer, without panic, without pride. And God honors that. Because to wait with wisdom is to say, "I trust you more than I trust my timeline." Capricorns don't just wait, they prepare while they wait. They study. They build. They get ready, not knowing when the moment will come, but believing it will. Let me ask you this. What if your delay isn't denial, but a divine setup for something greater? Capricorn teaches us that patience isn't about doing nothing. It's about doing the inner work, the quiet work, while the rest of the world races past. Because God's best gifts are never rushed. And neither are Capricorns. Reason 7. God loves Capricorn because they lead without craving power. Capricorn doesn't lead to be seen. They lead because they can't stand to see things fall apart. Leadership today is often loud, full of ego, image, and applause. But Capricorn leads in silence. They lead because someone must. Not to be the star, but to make sure the structure holds. Capricorn is the sign that stays after the meeting to clean up the mess. The one who steps forward when no one else wants the responsibility. The one who does what's right, even when it's not recognized. Because for Capricorn, leadership is not a position, it's a principle. They don't seek titles. They earn them. And even when they have authority, they use it not to control, but to stabilize. I once knew a Capricorn woman who ran a community center. When funds were cut, she stopped taking a paycheck but made sure her staff still got paid. When I asked why she didn't quit, she said, "This place isn't about me. It's about the people who rely on it." That's leadership. And God sees that. Because the best leaders aren't always in front. They're in the background, holding the walls, carrying the blueprint, making sure the roof doesn't collapse on everyone else. Capricorn leads with integrity, consistency, and moral weight. They don't need a spotlight. They need a mission. Ask yourself this. Are you leading from ego or from purpose? Do people follow you because of your charisma or your character? Capricorn reminds us that real power is not taken, it's earned through trust. And God honors the leader who chooses to serve, even when no one is watching. Reason 8. God loves Capricorn because they love through action, not noise. Capricorn won't flood you with words, but they'll be the one holding your hand when the whole world forgets. Capricorn's love is quiet, unflashy, unromantic by Instagram standards. But it's real. While others shout their affection from rooftops, Capricorn shows theirs in everyday, sacred gestures. The ride they didn't have to give, the errand they didn't mention, the late-night check-in when no one else noticed you were slipping. They don't perform love. They prove it day after day, through consistent, grounded, thoughtful presence. You won't always hear them say "I miss you," but they'll remember your favorite coffee. They'll fix something in your house before you even knew it was broken. They'll stand beside you in court, in crisis, in grief, and never ask for anything in return. I once met a Capricorn man who visited his friend's mother every Sunday, for years, after that friend passed away. When I asked why, he said, "He was my brother in spirit. This is how I keep him alive." That's how Capricorn loves, in ways that look small to the world but feel enormous to the soul. And God sees that. Because divine love isn't loud. It's not performative. It's not conditional. It's action in the quiet. It's loyalty without spotlight. It's service without expectation. Now ask yourself, who in your life is loving you through action right now, even if they don't say the words? Capricorn teaches us that true love isn't broadcast. It's built slowly, surely, and sometimes without a single word. Reason 9. God loves Capricorn because they master themselves before they lead others. Before Capricorn tells anyone how to live, they've already lived it, bled through it, and built themselves from it. In a world full of loud opinions and shallow virtue, Capricorn is rare. They don't preach what they haven't practiced. They don't give advice they wouldn't take. And they never, ever pretend to be something they haven't earned. Because Capricorn is ruled by self-discipline. And self-discipline, in its highest form, is a sacred mirror. Before they ask for commitment, they embody it. Before they set rules, they live by them. Before they expect others to change, they've already changed themselves from the inside out. I once knew a Capricorn executive who ran a high-performing team. She had every reason to be hard on others, but she wasn't. She held people accountable, yes, but with empathy. When I asked how she balanced leadership and compassion, she said, "I never ask anyone to do what I haven't already had to do the hard way." That's the Capricorn code. No shortcuts. No hypocrisy. Only growth earned through sacrifice, silence, and self-mastery. And God cherishes that. Because before He elevates someone to guide others, He watches how they govern themselves. Capricorn doesn't chase leadership through force. They become leaders by becoming worthy of being followed. Ask yourself this. What part of yourself have you mastered quietly that no one sees? And are you leading others from a place of experience or ego? Capricorn reminds us, the most powerful people are not the loudest, they are the most disciplined, the most real, and the most refined by fire. Reason 10. God loves Capricorn because they build for eternity, not attention. While others chase moments, Capricorn lays foundations that can last lifetimes. We live in a world obsessed with speed, fast fame, instant success, overnight results. But Capricorn, they don't build for the next hour. They build for the next generation. While others decorate the surface, Capricorn reinforces the structure. They care less about appearances, and more about whether it will still stand when the storm hits. Because Capricorn doesn't just want to win. They want what they build to outlive them. I once knew a Capricorn man who spent 20 years restoring an old library in his hometown, one brick at a time. When asked if it was worth it, he said, "Someday a kid will walk in here and fall in love with learning, and they'll never know my name." That's the point. That's how Capricorn thinks. Legacy over ego. Longevity over likes. Impact over image. And God loves that. Because the Creator doesn't just work in the now, He works across generations. And Capricorn mirrors that divine patience, foresight, and humility. They don't need to be remembered. They just need the work to remain. Ask yourself this. Are you building something that will still matter when you're no longer here? Or are you stacking bricks for the next big applause? Capricorn teaches us that the most sacred structures are the ones built slowly, quietly, and with reverence for time itself. Because eternity isn't built in a day. And neither is the soul of a Capricorn. Reason 11. God loves Capricorn because they carry the weight of others without asking for credit. Some people need recognition to serve. Capricorn just needs the need to exist. There's a quiet kind of heroism that walks among us and most never notice. They don't wear capes. They don't shout. They just carry what others drop, and they don't ask for anything in return. That's Capricorn. They'll take on the extra shift. Cover the rent when no one else can. Hold the emotions no one else knows how to process. And still show up the next day, on time, in control, and with zero drama. I once knew a Capricorn man who supported his sister's 3 kids for 6 years in secret. He never told the family. He just wired money every month and showed up at every birthday. When I asked him why, he said, "They didn't ask to be in that situation. So why should I ask for praise for doing what needed to be done?" That's what makes Capricorn holy. They don't help to be honored. They help because someone has to, and they trust that God sees what the world overlooks. Because real responsibility isn't glamorous. It's often exhausting. And yet, Capricorn carries it with grace, with loyalty, and with a spiritual discipline that feels almost ancestral. Ask yourself this. What would the world look like if more people carried each other the way Capricorn does, without applause, without ego? Capricorn teaches us this truth. The strongest people aren't the loudest. They're the ones holding everything together and still smiling. Reason 12. God loves Capricorn because they are loyal to love even when love isn't loud. Capricorn doesn't walk away just because things get quiet. They stay, even when it's hard, even when it's thankless, even when it hurts. Love, for many people, is performance. Grand gestures, big speeches, public promises. But not for Capricorn. Capricorn's loyalty to love isn't found in volume. It's found in presence. They stay. They endure. They rebuild even when the foundation cracks, even when everyone else gives up. Capricorn understands that love isn't always thrilling. Sometimes it's boring. Sometimes it's broken. But if they've made a vow, if they've given their heart, they will not abandon ship at the first sign of storm. I knew a Capricorn woman who stayed with her husband through 2 bankruptcies, cancer, and the loss of a child. When asked why, she said, "Love isn't a feeling. It's a decision, and I made mine before things got bad." That's the kind of loyalty God treasures. Because divine love isn't about convenience. It's about covenant. Capricorn doesn't just commit to people when it's easy. They commit through hardship, aging, silence, and even pain. They will fight to protect the love they believe in, not because it's perfect, but because it's sacred. Ask yourself this. Are you loyal only to love that feels good, or to love that you've chosen with your soul? Capricorn teaches us that true devotion isn't romanticized. It's revealed in the moments where quitting would be justified, but staying becomes holy. Reason 13. God loves Capricorn because they overcome without announcement. Capricorn doesn't need a stage to heal. They heal quietly and rise stronger than before, without saying a word. Some people survive pain by sharing it loudly, and that's valid. But Capricorn survives by working through it in silence, brick by brick, emotion by emotion, until one day, they simply stand tall again. No big moment. No dramatic scene. Just a quiet return to strength that no one even saw coming. Because Capricorn isn't here for sympathy. They're here for stability. They're not interested in showing you the wound. They're busy stitching it up with dignity. I knew a Capricorn who lost everything in 1 year. A job, a parent, a long-term relationship. No social media meltdown. No crisis broadcast. Just 1 text months later. Back on my feet. Let me know how I can help. That's Capricorn's magic. They don't ask for pity, they turn pain into pillars. And while others are watching their own reflections, Capricorn is rebuilding foundations in the background. God sees that. Because strength in silence is not weakness, it's mastery of the soul. It's knowing that your suffering doesn't define you, but what you do with it does. Ask yourself this. Have you ever gotten through something without telling the world and come out wiser, deeper, stronger? Capricorn teaches us that some of the greatest victories don't come with applause. They come in quiet mornings, steady breath, and the unspoken decision to rise again. Reason 14. God loves Capricorn because they respect time as a sacred force. While the world chases quick wins, Capricorn honors the slow work of destiny. Capricorn walks differently. In a world sprinting toward success, they move with intention, like someone who knows the road will still be there tomorrow. They aren't rushing. They're rooting. To Capricorn, time isn't just a schedule, it's a spiritual material. It's how truth reveals itself. It's how character is tested. And it's how greatness is built. This is why you rarely see a young Capricorn making noise. They're too busy becoming. And when their time comes, it's not luck, it's alignment. I once knew a Capricorn artist who painted in obscurity for decades. No galleries. No followers. No fame. Then one day, a collector discovered her at 63. When asked how it felt to finally make it, she smiled and said, "I wasn't waiting for the world. I was becoming who I was supposed to be, and now, the world is catching up." That's Capricorn. They don't live on your timeline. They live on God's timeline. And God honors that. Because the divine doesn't rush what is sacred. And Capricorn doesn't either. They trust that what is meant for them won't pass them. And they work until time delivers what they've been preparing for. Ask yourself this. Are you chasing life, or are you preparing for the moment it chases you? Capricorn teaches us this. Time is not your enemy. It's your ally if you walk with patience, purpose, and faith. Reason 15. God loves Capricorn because they find purpose in their pain. For Capricorn, suffering is never wasted. It becomes the soil where something holy can grow. Pain breaks most people. But Capricorn builds with it. When life wounds them deeply, unfairly, sometimes relentlessly, they don't stay down. They don't numb it. They transmute it. Capricorn understands that pain is not just something to survive. It's something to learn from, build upon, and even honor. They won't talk about their heartbreaks, betrayals, or silent battles. But behind every Capricorn success story is a secret storm. A season of darkness that shaped their character like fire shapes steel. I once knew a Capricorn woman who was abandoned by her mother at age 9. Raised herself. Raised her siblings. Put herself through school, one meal a day. And today, she runs a trauma-informed center for youth with incarcerated parents. When I asked her how she found her calling, she said, "I made a promise to my younger self that no child I meet will ever feel as invisible as I did." That's Capricorn. They don't just survive. They transform pain into service, into purpose, into legacy. And that's why God watches over them so closely. Because they take what most would curse and turn it into blessing for others. Ask yourself this. What part of your pain could become a gift if you stopped hiding it and started honoring it? Capricorn teaches us that even the deepest wounds can become holy if we choose to build something sacred from them. Reason 16. God loves Capricorn because they stand alone until what's meant for them arrives. Capricorn would rather walk alone in truth than sit with a crowd in illusion. In a world where many people fear solitude, Capricorn does not. They do not chase company for comfort. They do not settle for what is almost right. They will wait for the real thing, the right moment, the true person, the authentic calling. Because Capricorn is ruled not by desperation, but by discernment. When others cling to the temporary out of fear, Capricorn lets go. When others fill silence with noise, Capricorn listens. And when others lower their standards to feel accepted, Capricorn holds the line alone if necessary. I once knew a Capricorn man who left a lucrative corporate job because he saw it was built on lies. He walked away with no backup plan. He spent months alone, uncertain, rebuilding from scratch. Today, he leads a non-profit that provides ethical employment for refugees. When asked what gave him the courage, he said, "I'd rather be broke with purpose than rich with regret." That's Capricorn. They're not afraid of isolation, because they know elevation often begins in solitude. And God honors those who wait, who don't panic, who trust that what's meant for them, no matter how long it takes, will not pass them by. Ask yourself this: where in your life are you settling, when your soul is asking you to wait for more? Capricorn teaches us that solitude is not punishment. It is a sacred chamber where destiny whispers, and only the brave stay long enough to hear it. Reason 17. God loves Capricorn because they master themselves before they lead others. Before Capricorn gives orders, they've already given discipline to themselves. Capricorn was never meant to follow the crowd. But they also don't rush to lead. Because they understand, true leadership isn't about power, it's about inner control. While others seek influence, Capricorn seeks integrity. They don't just want the throne, they want to deserve it. They don't speak of responsibility, they embody it. It's easy to point fingers, to give advice, to manage others from a pedestal. But Capricorn will never ask more of you than they've already demanded of themselves. I once knew a Capricorn woman who ran a team of 30 employees. Her rule: if someone had to stay late to finish the job, she would be the first to do it. If someone made a mistake, she took accountability first, even if it wasn't her fault. One employee told me, "She doesn't lead from the front. She leads from within." That's Capricorn. They earn every ounce of authority through silent sacrifice, repeated effort, and a fierce inner code that even they don't dare break. And God sees that. Because the universe can't trust someone with leadership if they haven't first learned to lead themselves. Ask yourself this: are you trying to lead others before you've conquered your own habits, fears, and ego? Capricorn reminds us that the most trustworthy leaders are the ones who've quietly battled themselves and won. Reason 18. God loves Capricorn because they build what lasts while others chase what's flashy. Capricorn doesn't care about the spotlight, they care about the structure. In a world obsessed with visibility, speed, and applause, Capricorn is building in silence, with a blueprint most people don't even see. While others chase trends, they're laying foundations. While others flash temporary success, they're creating something that will still stand in 10 years. Because Capricorn isn't here to impress. They're here to endure. I once knew a Capricorn who opened a small cafe in a struggling neighborhood. Everyone laughed. No foot traffic. No big name. No buzz. But she poured herself into the business like it was sacred. 12 years later, that cafe became the heart of the entire community, a refuge for teens, elders, single moms, and entrepreneurs. When a local paper asked why she didn't give up, she said, "I wasn't building a business. I was building a place that outlives me." That's Capricorn. They understand that legacy isn't built in a weekend. It's built through faith, vision, daily action, and the refusal to give up even when no one is watching. And that's why God protects them. Because while others are inflating their image, Capricorn is fortifying reality. Ask yourself this: are you building something that will still matter when no one's clapping? Capricorn teaches us this eternal truth. What is slowly built with soul cannot be easily broken, because it was designed to stand the test of time. Reason 19. God loves Capricorn because they keep their promises even when no one is watching. Capricorn doesn't need an audience to do what's right. Their loyalty isn't for show, it's for the soul. In today's world, integrity has become performance. People make vows on social media. They declare intentions in public only to abandon them in private. But Capricorn doesn't need the spotlight to stay true. They are ruled by inner vows, by quiet agreements made in solitude. To be better, to stay committed, to finish what they start. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when it costs them comfort, sleep, or applause. I once knew a Capricorn man who promised his dying best friend that he'd take care of her daughter. She had no family, no money, and he was barely surviving himself. But he kept that promise. He raised that girl as his own for 14 years, no fanfare, no public post, no recognition. When she graduated college, she said, "He never reminded me of the promise. He just loved me like he meant it." That is Capricorn. Their word is their bond, not because they're perfect, but because they are accountable to something higher than ego. And that's why God protects them. Because when they say yes, they mean it. And when they give their heart, it's not borrowed, it's eternal. Ask yourself this. What promises have you made in private, and do you still honor them when no one's watching? Capricorn reminds us that true loyalty is proven in the dark, when the only witness is your own conscience and your Creator. Reason 20. God loves Capricorn because they sacrifice comfort for a calling. While others chase ease, Capricorn chases meaning even if it costs them everything. Capricorn was never born to live a soft life. Not because they don't deserve it, but because their soul was sent here to do something greater. They're the ones who'll turn down the easy path, who'll walk away from luxury, applause, or quick rewards, if it means staying true to their higher mission. They are not addicted to pleasure. They are devoted to purpose. I once knew a Capricorn who was a successful investment banker in New York. $1 million bonuses, lavish lifestyle, recognition. But every night, she felt a quiet ache, like her spirit was dying slowly in a golden cage. One day, she quit everything, moved to the Appalachian Mountains, started teaching underprivileged children math and business skills for free. When I asked why, she said, "I finally realized my soul didn't want a career. It wanted a contribution." That's Capricorn. They will burn down the life that looks perfect to build the one that feels true. And that's why God loves them. Because they don't worship ease. They sacrifice comfort for calling. And when they do, divine doors open that no one else could see. Ask yourself this. Are you chasing comfort or answering your calling? Capricorn teaches us this. True fulfillment isn't in the life that looks good. It's in the life that answers your soul's assignment. Final conclusion. The sacred reason why God protects Capricorn. So now you know. These weren't just 20 reasons. They were 20 sacred revelations etched into the cosmic blueprint of Capricorn's soul. God doesn't protect Capricorn because they are perfect. God protects them because they are relentlessly faithful. Loyal in a world that forgets loyalty. Disciplined in a world that worships distraction. And because their soul chooses purpose over pleasure every single time. Capricorn does not scream for help. They don't broadcast their pain. They carry mountains in silence, and still find the strength to help others climb theirs. They are not flashy. They are not loud. But they are unchangeable. Foundational. Sacred. Capricorn is the one who rebuilds the ruins after the storm. The one who plants seeds they may never sit beneath. The one who walks alone, not because they are unloved, but because they are being divinely guided. That is why they are protected. Not by luck, not by chance, but by divine assignment. Because the world needs what only Capricorn can give. Stability, integrity, legacy, quiet strength. So if you're a Capricorn, or someone who loves a Capricorn, remember this. You were not sent here to be understood by everyone. You were sent here to anchor the divine in a broken world. And that's why the universe moves things for you. Even when it feels like everything's against you. If you feel this message deep in your spirit, hit that subscribe button. Because here at Zodiac Secrets Revealed, we're not just reading zodiac signs. We are uncovering the soul contracts behind them. And for Capricorn, that contract is written in stone and blessed by heaven.